Thanks for joining us this morning. The boss of Essendon is gone after 24 hours in the job. It's because he's chairman of a church that has very controversial views on homosexuality and abortion. Queensland Senator Matt Canavan and editor of Stella and Body and Soul magazine Sarah Lamarquin join me now to discuss. Nice to see you both. So Matt, Andrew Thorburn says he does not personally tolerate any kind of bigotry, but he is chairman of this particular church. What do you make of what has happened in the past 24 hours?
Well, it's very clear that Essendon Football Club is not very diverse and they're not very inclusive. I mean, they use these words and they market these labels, but they're effectively saying that if you're Christian, if you hold Christian beliefs, you're not welcome at their club. That's exactly what they're saying, and I don't quite understand why someone's religious beliefs, their heartfelt religious beliefs, hurts another person. As Andrew said in his statement, he's been CEO of very large organisations and always been accepting of other people's views. But it's got to be a two-way street here in our country, in our community. If we're going to live with each other, we've got to accept everyone's views, even if we disagree with them, even if we don't, even if we feel a bit hurt sometimes by those views. But hurt feelings should not lead to people losing their jobs. And I also give credit to Andrew Thorburn. Good on him for having the courage to stick by his religious convictions, giving up probably what is his dream job. But more people need to do that because we need to stand up against these bullies that are trying to tell us all what we can believe.
Sarah, your thoughts on this? So the issues in regards to this church is that they consider homosexuality a sin. There was comparisons with abortion to a concentration camp. These are views that Andrew says he does not personally hold. He's chairman of that church, though. Can you refuse a person their position because of their religious beliefs?
So when Matt says that this decision is Essendon saying that you can't be Christian and hold this position, that is not true at all. And he was not explicitly asked about his religion and his religious beliefs in the interview process, as is absolutely what should happen, by the way, because that's illegal and it's immoral. Now, I agree with you, Matt, that we have to have a country where people have their own views. Religious freedom is really important, but what is the issue here are those particular views that he endorses by being the head of the church. It doesn't matter whether he's explicitly parroted those views. He has not sought to, regress or retreat from that commentary. It's really hurtful. His values are out of line with the values of a footy club. They're out of line with fans of the game. It's not inclusive and it is hurtful. And we can't pretend that having these views doesn't hurt people. It does hurt people, Matt. People in same-sex relationships are still alienated in Australia. The right to abortion is really fundamental in this country. To be comparing it to concentration camp is extremely hurtful to vulnerable people. They are unacceptable views, not because they're religious views, because they're bigoted views.
Okay, Matt?
Is it just the concentration camp analogy? Look, I wouldn't personally make that analogy, but if people get sacked for a poor metaphor, that seems very, very strange. But the views about abortion are widely held by lots of people. Now, they might not be a majority, but a big proportion of people in our country don't agree with abortion, don't think it's right. I'm one of them, I don't. I think it is the termination of a life. Now, those are uncomfortable views, and I realise why it might be hard, but we've got to have, if we're going to be in a democracy, you've got to accept some people have different views from time to time, and that's fine. I've got no problem if someone has a different view. But if we go around sacking everybody who has different views from us, we won't have a society anymore.
Look,
that's
I accept everyone might have different views on abortion, and that's okay. But the language around that was disgraceful. But I think the issue here is whether...
He didn't even say it. It wasn't even his words.
But it's the church of which he's the chairman of. But look, I guess the issue here is whether this is fair and reasonable. You also had the Victorian Premier, you had Dan Andrews, who is an Essendon fan himself. He came out and he said this yesterday.
Those views are absolutely appalling. I don't support those views. That kind of intolerance, that kind of hatred, bigotry is just wrong.
And I think, as Neil Mitchell on 3AW has pointed out, Matt, I mean, with that and with the reaction we've seen, Andrew Thorburn's position was doomed, wasn't it?
Well, it seems like that in our society. I think it's very regrettable that people are being sacked because of their religious views. And just to something Sarah said before, who does get to be the arbiter of what is a respectable religious view and what is not? I mean, some of these views that have been expressed are contained within the Bible. I swear an oath on that Bible when I became an Australian senator. People swear an oath on them when they go to court. I mean, should we get rid of that? Well, where are we going with this?
Yeah, I think
I think we'd be much better just take a breath here and accept that people have different views. And that's what diversity and inclusion should mean. But at the moment, they're just labels. They don't really have any content.
Okay,
I
Sarah's
actually think
shaking
that
her head. Why?
I think that we actually should get rid of signing in on the Bible, swearing in on the Bible. But that is obviously a conversation for another day. I'm really happy to have it any time, name the time and place. But when you say, Matt, who should decide these things? The Australian people, and that includes the followers and footy lovers. And it is, we have seen evidence that there are people that feel that a club is betraying them and that it's piling in on them if it is seen to be endorsing these homophobic and anti-women views. So I don't really care what Dan Andrews said. I agree with him, but I don't think it's up to him. I think it's up to lovers of football.
Look, I mean, here is a guy, he's CEO of the NAB for years. He left after his bank was slammed by the Banking Royal Commission. I don't know why the board didn't do their due diligence. Obviously, they would have known he was chairman of this church, why they didn't look into it, and why he was ever appointed in the first place. All I know is it has been an absolute mess for these past 24 hours, and you're going to wonder what's going on at the club. Matt and Sarah, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Robust discussion.